Hi, and welcome to the Up Zone, where understanding politics is made simple. We are your two hosts. I am Tisha S. Waddell, former City Council representative for the 3rd District, and all around um, pursuer of purpose and lover of life. And this is Mr. Floyd, former House representative for the 43rd District. That's right, right? I said that right?
Yes, you did. Yes,
In
you
the
did.
state of North Carolina. Mr. Floyd always says I'm trying to steal his title. I promise
Well,
you I'm not.
you can have it. You can have
I
it.
don't I don't want it, Mr.
No,
Floyd.
no, no, no. Teacher, I'm glad of that because many people have asked me would I consider running for District One for the County Board of Commissioners. Like I said to you, I hadn't mentioned it to you, but my team has been looking at the pros and cons of that. So I may consider it or I may not, but
Okay.
I have until December 1 to consider the opportunity of running for the county board
First I'm
commission
hearing
this week.
about it. This is the first
I
I'm
know,
hearing
I
about. They
know,
hear it
I
here
know.
first.
I know. I mean, I just had my exploratory team. They've been looking at the pros and cons, and the only one that we know at this particular point in time that may run would be Larry Wright. So we
Right.
just,
Well,
that's
remember
what we
also
have.
Sheila Cuffey has announced. So
Okay. So that means that the three of us would be, I say two, three, and we know that Glenn would probably run again, and Janet may not run again. So it'll be a good field. We'll see.
absolutely.
We'll
I'm
see.
out of it. I'm out of it, Mr.
Well, I
Floyd.
just want to let you. I just want to let you know, because that was one of the criticisms that I shared with you, is
I
that you
know.
announced on the last minute, and that meant that you had to put together all of this. So, but my
Like that.
exploratory team have already been working.
Yes.
See, so
and
that's
and
the
based
advantage of.
upon and listen and based upon your recommendation from the last election cycle, and remember, everybody has to know I did that based upon the way that I felt led to do it, but I do have my exploratory team looking into what we ought to be doing next, but it is
Well,
not County Commissioner District 1. So I hat off to
okay.
you and your team, and I can't wait to hear what the
Okay.
decision is going to be. What are our announcements today,
Well,
Mr. Floyd?
we have one. This is Indian and Heritage Month, and we also have Diabetes Month. And
Okay.
also, there was two articles printed, and one was in one of the news media, is that Mrs. Jones is in her second term on the County Board of Commission. This is her first term on
Hmm.
the County Board of Commission. And then a second article that was printed in the newspaper as it relates to DEI, and that was House Bill 171, and it had in there
Wait,
that the
wait, wait,
Senate
pause,
vote.
because that's on our list of topics. So wait till we get to that one
Okay,
to correct the error
okay,
that they made. Do
okay.
we have any events coming up, Mr. Floyd? Because you are the keeper of the
No,
events.
no, none other than Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving is Thursday and Friday. So what I'm asking, please do not help the North Carolina court system because you cannot win that battle. The ABC store sells you the liquor. The Highway Patrol, which is the state organization, arrests you. You're tried in a state court, and if you're found guilty, and then you need assistance, you are then placed under the supervision of a probation officer.
Right,
So it's a no-win situation for you. So
right.
just don't drink and drive, but enjoy the holiday. Okay.
Absolutely. And
Oh
I
yeah.
do
Oh
have an
yeah. Please.
announcement this morning. I have
I
two
think
announcements, but go ahead, Mr. Floyd.
I think there is going to be an announcement. There's going to be something today. Room revealed is that as it relates to this incident with the three students, is that there are some concerns about uh, that. As an example, the young lady who uh, was in the hospital was in rehab. They took her out
Hmm.
of rehab and arrested her, my understanding, and then put up on a $300,000 bond. So there may be a discussion this afternoon at 2 o'clock at the courthouse. I don't know. That's rumor, Bill, but I'm sure that there would be more discussion coming from a group of African American attorneys.
Okay. So I'm guessing what I'm hearing between the lines is that they might have an issue with the fact of how this is being handled.
Yes, yes. So that was,
Okay.
and that rumor mill is that she was released. I mean, she was removed from the rehabilitation center and arrested. So they just have some concerns and some issues, which will be come to light if it's still
If
held.
there's a conversation held.
Yeah, I think Jonathan Charleston represent one segment of the family, and I think Crosby represent one, and then Attorney Crossman, Attorney Rogers represents one. So it'll be a greater discussion, if it take place today at 2 o'clock. Is how the outcome of the treatment is being taken place as it relates to the judicial system. So I just wanted just to throw that out there.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Well, we're still in the announcement segment. So I do want to
Mhm.
announce that my mother is a part of a group called Women's Veterans Interactive Foundation, and they're going to be having their Christmas soiree fundraiser on December the 5th, and it's going to be at Hope Mills Recreation Center, and it's going to be from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And if you are interested and would like to attend, you can get tickets by sending, I think, a cash app to $ give to WVIFAY, the number two. Again, that's you can buy your tickets at $60 for individual tickets, 100 for two tickets, and you can send your payments to $give the number two WVIFAY, the number two. I will post that flyer on our page as well. So, Mr. Floyd, um, before we're next week is Thanksgiving. So we are not going to be recording on Thursday because you and your lovely bride are going to be enjoying your Cornish hen. And I will be doing whatever it is that my family decides to do this year. And that means we're going to pre record the day before. So because we're pre-recording the day before, you will be able to catch us. And Mr. Floyd, my recommendation is that people just tune in on that Wednesday because I think since it's Thanksgiving, we want everybody to enjoy their Thanksgiving free of political pundit conversation. So you guys catch us a little bit early, or you can watch the replay on Thursday or whenever you get ready to. But just to let you know, that's what we're going to be doing. I mean, we do
Well,
have
thank
a
you.
guest lined up for next week. Our guest that is lined up is former Sheriff Wright. He's going to come on and be giving us his take on this upcoming sheriff's race. I'm looking forward to hearing it. You know, he and I have had a conversation, as I know have you and he, and I'm looking forward to him sharing that with our
Well,
audience.
the reason why, because on our program we get a lot of rumorville, and
Hmm.
then some people indicate that we may not be correct in our rumorville conversation.
Who's ever
So,
said that?
but I'm just saying, so I just want to declare, because I saw him, and
Yeah.
uh, and so and I shared with him, and that's what Rumorville have. And he said that he would come on and clarify whether or not we are right or whether or not we are wrong.
Right,
So
right.
he'll be our guest next week.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So, Mr. Floyd, any other announcements before we jump into our conversations of
No,
the
Teach,
day?
but I was surprised, some of my colleagues, and I feel good when they called me, given, I graduated some time ago. And so I don't know why they like this particular restaurant, if I may. So I decided, well, I'll go,
Which
but
restaurant?
I'm not calling them names. I decided I'll go. So the four of them paid, and I said, well, I just go and sit so we can, hash out past history.
Hmm.
And so I was told that even if I don't eat to sit with them, it would cost me $17. So I said to them, you all going to worship, I'll find me another church. You know,
What?
because I said I'm not gonna pay no $17 to sit with you all
And not eat?
if, and not
Yeah.
eat. They said it
Yeah.
doesn't make any difference. If you come in, you won't have to pay the $17.
Was
So
it a
they worship.
fundraiser?
No, we're just chatting and having a conversation, about past history. But it
Okay.
wasn't worth
Was this one of those
$17.
was this one of those secret meetings about how to get government together?
No, no, no. This wasn't that one. That one occurred. No, that wasn't even secret. The one that was yesterday,
Okay.
that was somewhat public, based upon the information that I received from different individuals. That was the board of elections, so that was public. That wasn't private. So that's altogether something different. But
Mhm.
but I guess they hash it out. I mean, my colleagues that ate at this particular restaurant, I assume that they was able to have a good conversation. But again, I found another church
I got
that
it.
I didn't have to pay that. So I just wanted to share that with people. Is that how things happen in our community, and I can understand the point, because some people may do things that are not professional, and so I guess that's why they do that. But I just didn't want to contribute to that cause. I can buy me some more fishing worms.
I understand. I want to go back, Mr. Floyd, to what you were saying earlier about this possible meeting. So, well, no, we'll hold on that because I want to wait and see how that all plays out. But I do want to. I don't. I'm gonna say this. I don't know if our guests, if our audience are as confused as I am, but I'm super confused right now about this meeting. This dinner meeting that you're talking about, or whatever. But I'm gonna get some clarification from you when we get off of this podcast. We are supposed to have a guest coming on shortly today to be talking about some infrastructure, and they're coming to talk to us from FAMPO, and so I'm looking forward to him joining in. He has received the information. We're going to give him a little bit of time to get on. But in the meantime, Mr. Floyd, let's go ahead and get to it and talk about what's happening around our community. A lot of our conversation today, interestingly enough, does have to do with infrastructure. But just to give our guests some time to get on, I do want to make mention of an occurrence that happened yesterday. And I want to set some people's minds at ease if there are any questions about how we're handling what we're doing at our podcast. So, Mr. Floyd, yesterday was a hearing. It was a hearing at the Board of Elections, and it was to address some matters that were being brought by two different municipalities. My interest yesterday was the municipality, the issue in the municipality of the city of Fayetteville. I don't really want to get into all of the details of it because I think the details are a little bit mundane. They're very repetitive. It's kind of neutral to me. I'm neutral where it's concerned, but I do want to talk about what was observed at the actual preliminary hearing. So to recap very quickly, and you can go to our page and look at our post yesterday if you want to get some information about this. But to recap very quickly, Mr. Floyd, we did see a conversation transpiring, or a complaint transpiring between the former candidate for District 7 and the current council member elect and the incumbent for District 7. So Kathy Greggs lodged a complaint against council member Brenda McNair, who has been reelected to her position. And the complaint alleged um, voter intimidation, manipulation, and something else. Now, Mr. Floyd, when I read the complaint, I put up my preliminary idea of what I believe the outcome would be based upon the complaint. And I'm not a lawyer, I just know how to read, right? When I
I hope
read it,
so.
Mr. Floyd, right, when I read it, my initial response was this doesn't really have any legs because it's a very large ask to get the Board of Elections to identify an incident as voter intimidation or manipulation. And there has to be some inkling that whatever transpired affected the outcome of the election. Now, when you lose an election by the types of margins that we saw lost by in this district, it's a hard push to believe that this person saying what was observed in this video resulted in the types of numbers that we saw, right?
Okay.
You would agree? Okay.
I,
So with that being said, I think that was a that was not moving any further. And I think when we looked at it, we knew that. However, Ms. McNair came to court lawyered up. Which is interesting to me because I would think that any lawyer worth their weight in salt would have said, "You don't need me for this."
when you look at it, uh, and then you have to look at the players that was there.
Well, because
We can,
apparently her attorney was from the office of the Charleston Group, and even the mayor was alleged to have been present at this hearing. Here's what's interesting to me, and I know a lot of people will say, "Well, an attorney is not going to turn down money." I'm gonna tell you something. I remember my daughter had an accident in daycare. This was almost 20 years ago, and I went down to my attorney who handled all of the things for my family. His name was Attorney Larry McLaughlin. People in this community may be familiar with Mr. McLaughlin, and he had an office in the Pythian complex. He looked at me and we talked through it, and he said, "I'll be honest with you, I don't think you really need to engage me for this." And that's what I went for. I went to get his legal opinion. And when he told me that, I was okay with his opinion because I trusted his counsel. And Mr. Floyd, there are attorneys who will tell you, "You really don't need me for this. Like, you can handle this yourself. You got this." But that was not the case. So she came in with an attorney. It was essentially dismissed, not moving any further. And I just thought it was interesting. I thought more interesting than the hearing were the players who showed up. So the fact that she came outfitted with an attorney from the Charleston Group, and the fact that the mayor showed up just was interesting to me, and it spoke a lot to what you have been saying
well,
all
well,
along.
Teach one thing, and one thing that I do admire Jonathan Charleston
Oh,
for his
absolutely,
skill set. I mean,
absolutely,
I got to give him honor for that because he's a very skillful attorney.
absolutely.
And to be present yesterday, and other members present yesterday, and we said last week or the week before of what the chair of the county board of commissioner is trying to do with his view of the upcoming election. And I see the mayor, like any other person, is
Locking
trying
down
to
those six
build
votes.
is trying to build him a team to
Absolutely.
move whatever agenda forward.
Forward.
So that's why I said to you last week, caution, okay, caution, and
Caution.
then ahead, okay. You
Absolutely.
see,
Now, Mr.
so
Graham has joined us. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. As I bring him in, Mr. Floyd, I would like for you to introduce our guest, please, and thank you. Who is
okay.
our guest today, Mr. Floyd?
Our guest today is Mr. Graham. And Mr. Graham is the chair of the Fayetteville Metropolitan Planning Organization, which many people in our community don't know about him or his organization or heard about him. But he is the key person towards infrastructure as it relates to Cumberland County and the surrounding counties. And so, Mr. Graham, just so that our audience will know who you are and what the role of the Fayetteville Metropolitan Planning Organization is to our community and how important it is. Can you share with us, the role of the Fayetteville Metropolitan Planning Organization? I think there's about 28 plus, that including counties too, in our state that help with infrastructure development. So can you share that with our audience? And thank you for
Oh,
coming on too.
oh, definitely. And thank you for inviting me. As Mr. Floyd mentioned, yes, we are a metropolitan planning organization. I can give some higher level and I'll drill down to get us to where we are here in Fayetteville. But it's about 420 MPOs that were established. They were congressionally established by the federal government way back in 1971 in order to distribute all of our federal transportation funding. When Congress approves and adopts a new federal transportation bill to pay for new highways, pay for transit systems, pay for Greenway Trail construction all over the entire country, that money or those funds have to go through a metropolitan planning organization. We represent, or we do this work for urbanized areas throughout our country. And as you everyone well knows, that we have both rural and urban areas throughout our entire country. Mr. Floyd, he spoke that we have 20 MPOs in the state of North Carolina. They represent the urbanized concentration of people. And then we have, I'm thinking we have 16 RPOs, which are rural planning organizations that take care of the distribution of transportation funds in our rural areas of the state. The Fayetteville area MPO, we do cover not only the urbanized portion of Cumberland County, but as Mr. Floyd mentioned, we cover the southern half of Harnett County. We cover the eastern half of Hoke County. We have that corridor of Moore County that cuts between Hoke and Harnett, and we have the northern sliver of Robeson County. That's our urban area MPO, and we are one of the 20 MPOs in the state, and we distribute and establish procedures and ranking and prioritization policies to distribute all of the transportation funding dollars that we receive or are eligible to receive from the federal government through NCDOT. I mean, it's a lot, but
Well, let's say that whatever business want to land here in Fayetteville, and they need some infrastructure improvement in order to locate wherever they may want to locate in the county. Your organization plays an important role in that infrastructure development to assist that industry to locate here, in Fayetteville. Is that correct?
that is true. It's a huge process, I would say. We go and attend Woodpecker baseball games. We go and attend Marksman hockey games. We set up a table and a booth. We have maps showing the various transportation projects that have been allocated funding and are in the pipeline for construction. But we're there, or we go and attend these games and meetings to speak with the general public. We want to hear from them if they feel that there's a safety improvement needed. They have a problem with the recently installed traffic circle outside their residential neighborhood, or they feel like they need
So
a
I just
new
wait. So Mr. Graham, I need to talk to you about these traffic circles out here on Rosehill Road.
right.
I will be calling you, sir.
Yes, definitely. So then, we'll receive those comments, and if it's a new project or it requires new funding, we then coordinate with our NCDOT division office down the street here on Gillespie Street here in Fayetteville. We inform them if it's a low level or low hanging fruit type of improvement needed. There may be funds to go and take care of it immediately. But there's also the city of Fayetteville has their own infrastructure improvement and streets department. Lots of different funding sources, pots of funds that can be used for specific purposes. Some are safety focused, some are road resurfacing focused, some are for traffic signalization. It covers the full gamut. Greenway trail, sidewalk expansion, But based on the request of the citizen and where their specific request falls as far as, do we already have a project in the pipeline that needs to be constructed that we can just move forward? Their comment may actually already be underway and they don't know anything about it.
Let me
And
ask you a
also,
question in that vein, Mr. Graham, because one of the
yeah,
things that, as former electeds, both Mr. Floyd and I recognize is that a lot of what's being seen happening in the community has been planned for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right?
that's
So
correct.
often we will see elected bodies or specific members of those bodies take a lot of credit for the work that's being rolled out. But the reality of that is these things have been in the works for a very long time. So, how does your office coordinate with, because I hear you talking about these different pots of money, how does your office coordinate with the city of Fayetteville, Cumberland County, and the other municipalities and NCDOT when planning these projects and these regional projects? And in your estimation, so this is a two-part question. In your estimation, what does um, what does successful collaboration or healthy collaboration look like? And where do you see some opportunities to strengthen that between you and these different municipalities, your office and these different municipalities?
Okay.
I know that's a big question, but I know you got it.
I want to I want to be I want it to be clear, my response to your question. Very good question, definitely. And you are absolutely correct that these projects take forever. Um, Next Tuesday morning, they will be doing a ribbon cutting for the last and final section of 295. Um, that project it started construction maybe 30 years ago. And definitely the planning of it started 30 years ago.
Right.
And you are absolutely correct. The elected officials from the city or the county or even our state legislative folks here in our area today, they definitely did not initially create or place funding on that project, but it just takes so long. And over the years, the cost and prices of transportation infrastructure improvements, it has escalated so much. And so, yes, we have to do these large projects in pieces over long periods of time. The funding, yeah, that first section of 295 in the northern part of the city, man, I think that started actually over 20 years ago. Seriously. But the
1999.
planning was even 10 years prior.
To that.
What we try and do, my board, I have 3 boards that I have to staff. My staff, we cover 3 boards. One is a Citizens Advisory Committee, and they are appointed by elected officials within these geographic governmental entities or boundaries that I mentioned earlier. And they are citizens that are very much interested in transportation improvements and infrastructure improvements for our area. They are very knowledgeable, just for citizens. They come from different professional backgrounds, but they give us feedback based on the policies and the programs that we implement. They give us feedback on whether or not, the general public would be able to understand what we're doing or how they feel they would benefit or we would benefit as citizens or not from the projects at all. The second level board that we have is called our TCC. It is comprised of city managers and city planning directors, county managers, county planning directors, and they are staff level review. They review our activities and projects, and they make recommendations to our governing board. Our governing board is comprised of elected officials. And say, for example, my governing board, they met yesterday morning. They meet bi-monthly on the 4th Wednesday of the month. It is comprised of elected officials from all of those governmental agencies that I mentioned. We have 2 city council members from the city of Fayetteville City Council. Right now, our chair of that governing board is Councilman Dino Hondros. And the second city council rep was Mayor Pro Tem Kathy Jensen. Of course, she just lost her election campaign for mayor, and she will be stepping off the council. So her position will have to be refilled by a new Fayetteville City Council person.
Mm-hmm.
We have a county commissioner from Cumberland County, a county commissioner from Harnett, a county commissioner from Hoke, and a county commissioner from Moore County on our board. We have the mayor of Rayford. We have the mayor from Parkton, and we have council members from Spring Lake, the mayor of Spring Lake, actually, and Eastover's council as well, and Hope Mills as well.
Okay.
Those are our governing board. So their charge is, or my job is as staff, to bring forth the initial concepts of needed transportation improvements and infrastructure improvements. They will review, we come up with methodologies and ways to rank and score these projects, especially if, the city of Fayetteville may have 10 projects or 10 sidewalk projects they may want to embark on, but there's only one submitted from Spring Lake or Hope Mills or Eastover. We have to come up with a way to score and rank and allocate funding to the projects that are most needed.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this question here. Just last week, you all had a meeting at I think it's Lewis Chapel
Middle school.
Yeah. What outcome of that? That's question one. And the city just received, I think it was $7.5 million from the power bill for infrastructure. So, that's question two. And question three is that there has been a lot of discussion about.
Wait, Floyd, what was the question? I missed what question 2 was.
Question 2 is that it has been a lot of what was question 2? Let me go back and think. Oh yeah. It was the power bill money, and also the meeting at Lewis Chapel, and third is the I-685, I believe it is. So those 3 different questions. So if you can do that,
so you want him to give a rundown on what happened in those 3 instances?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
The floor is yours, Mr. Graham.
All right. So the city of Fayetteville, I guess they conduct these community meetings. They call it Fayetteville Out Front, and they'll pick various locations. I think they do it monthly. I was just requested to participate in this month's activity, and as Mr. Floyd mentioned, it was held and conducted at Lewis Chapel Middle School. They have already notified me that next month it'll be at a different location in a different district, and we'll have a different purpose. Next month's discussion will be just for informational purposes, will be public transit, just to let you know. But this one was focused on transportation as a whole or in general. And we had myself, and I was mentioning that top down or national level and how the transportation funds trickle down to the local level. We also had representatives from NCDOT, our division, that main office off of Gillespie Street in Fayetteville. They are responsible for constructing all of our physical transportation facilities within the Division 6. It's a lot going on, but Division 6 is ours. There are 14 engineering divisions of NCDOT, but Division 6 is ours. And we also cover a very small portion of Division 8 but their division engineers and planners also work with us for that area of Hope County that they cover as well. Um, I did the higher level and brought it down and mentioned that we had some local funds that do pass down or pass through the MPO. But then the division office also mentioned how they construct and use the funds to build the projects within our area. And then they had city engineering and streets staff to discuss in the weeds, in the trenches, um, those projects that Mr. Floyd mentioned.
Mhm.
Powell bill funds are distributed from NCDOT and given to almost every local government in the state. And those funds are distributed on a per capita basis, based on your population. That's how much you get. Of course, the amount of funds or the pot that is being distributed as a whole, it hasn't increased over time. So as our population grows, the funding distribution, say the city of Charlotte, it being our largest, they would definitely receive the largest power bill allocation, but it's definitely not enough money to resurface all of the local streets that the city of Charlotte actually owns and operates. And the same is true for the city of Fayetteville. They were mentioning that the Powell bill funds that we do receive, it's not enough to resurface all of the streets and handle and address each and every pothole and each and every problem with sidewalk buckling or ex, ex, expansions and extensions of some of these streets too. They mentioned that they developed a policy and a procedure to rank and prioritize which roads get resurfaced first. They had different levels of it. Sometimes they would do caulking. It was based on the resurfacing needs. Some of the potholes got really, really large, they mentioned. So the citizens had questions, they had complaints. Oh, my street needs to be resurfaced. Oh, I have too many holes in my neighborhood, that sort of thing. But they explained, their process and procedures as to how they try to take care of the worst problematic streets on
Absolutely.
the first name, first as opposed to last. And
Absolutely.
then they do patching and all of that. The last question that Mr. Floyd mentioned was a new interstate highway that we are trying to get to come to Cumberland County. The way that it was specified or laid out in the federal transportation bill, the last one that we're finishing up now, um, is to be coming from Greensboro and make its way through either Harnett or Cumberland County and connect to 95 South that way.
Okay.
Um, so we are working on discussing potential alignments of that. I-685, we are right now, it has a planning corridor name of Corridor K, as in Kim. Um, um, that is it. And right now it is from Sanford to 95, whether it be a connection through Lillington and Dunn, or from Sanford to 95 through Fayetteville. We
Should
need to find.
Fayettevilleans feel hopeful that we might be included in this process? Is it looking good
Yes,
for
it's
us?
still in the planning stages. So it's like, we can just lay out on a map a number of corridors or connections and then come up with the most feasible and beneficial route.
Okay.
Some of the routes are going to be much more expensive than others. There are facilities to get around, but the purpose of an interstate highway is to connect population and major attractions to allow them to be able to connect and get to one another in the least amount of time. And
What do you see? Let me ask you this, Mr. Graham. What do you see being the biggest long-term transportation challenge facing the Fayetteville region? Because one of the things when I look at the way we are situated within our state, there's also no easy east-west connectivity. So if we're trying to get to, as an example, if I'm trying to get to Wilmington, I've got to go around the way to get there. If I'm trying to get to Charlotte, I've got to go around the way to get there. Is that on the planning horizon? Because we could be a transportation hub if we could more easily connect to some of the places that we would be trying to transport goods and services to goods to. Is that a conversation for us that's being had right now? And
It
why does
is.
that connectivity not exist currently?
Yeah, it is. I think it's just the time frame that it takes. So the constant widening and elevation of I-74 or NC-74, for certain sections of the 74 corridor, it has been elevated to interstate highway status, but then there are other sections and segments that are still lowered to North Carolina state highway. That's going to continue to be improved as you head from Charlotte to Wilmington. And as we get to those improvement areas and widenings of the 74 corridor, that east-west connection on the southern end of the state is going to continue to improve. It's just an expensive proposition, very expensive highway to improve and elevate to the level of interstate highway categorization. But that is ongoing and it will continue. And once we get to it being widened in the Laurinburg area or whatever, there will be probably another connection discussion directly to Fayetteville, I'm
So
sure.
how to put us in the mix. Let me ask you this
Exactly.
also, because this has been one of the biggest things that we talk about. And then Mr. Floyd, I'll be quiet and you can have the floor until you're ready to switch topics. But one of the questions that we hear a lot about in our community is how DOT and the city of Fayetteville are handling economic development um, and zoning and all of these things. What is FAMPO's role in that? Because one of the hot topics that recently happened over the last couple of months was the rezoning of some property to accommodate a gas station in an area where there's already a lot of congestion taking place. And so even as we look at the potential rezoning that might happen on Rose Hill Road, and we talk about how this will affect this corridor, how does FAMPO play into that? And what are some of the corridors that you all are looking at and saying that there have to be some changes taking place in order to accommodate the growth of this community?
Okay. We, you are hitting on that major city planning discussion topic, the connections between transportation and land use planning. So my staff, they do participate in urban land use rezoning and land development application permits. We review each and every application that comes into the city of Fayetteville, the Cumberland County, and also the town of Hope Mills. Those are the only local governments that we actually review each and every land use and rezoning application on. What we do is based on the application, we just look at them on an individual basis. We calculate the amount of traffic or trip generation that that land use will generate, and we compare it to the road capacity that that land use is going to be um, built on. And if there's excess capacity, we inform the planning department staff that there is excess capacity. And yes, there are major congestion areas, but we look at, or our planners and the planning departments throughout every city in our nation, they look at capacity of existing infrastructure when a new land use comes in, and you do want those areas that do have congestion. They would be considered thriving areas in a urban or a growing city. But in fact, if we had a situation where the land use is being proposed and the infrastructure and capacity did not exist, we would just make recommendations to them for widening and expansions and traffic signal improvements based on in order to accommodate that new land use and new rezoning. Okay,
Okay. Mr.
that's
Floyd?
Let me ask you,
Thank you, Mr.
the
Graham.
question is that we are in what you might call, I call it a valley. We cannot get to Raleigh unless we travel 295, 95, and 40. There is no major, but we cannot get to our major cities like Charlotte, Wilmington, and Raleigh. That's just one question that perhaps may be looked at is some improvement on 401, which is there. The state some years ago had a $60 billion highway improvement project. I mean that they need, and so I'm sure that the costs have gone up. And then we talked about the rail from Raleigh, from Fayetteville to Raleigh to accommodate, to remove some of the road
yes.
traffic. So, and then the last question, and then I'll let you close out. What is the formula? The state used to have a formula, I think it was 40, 30, 20, or something like that formula for funding highway project. The community, local government, or local community get a percentage, and then is that formula still in place for funding?
Yeah, they did have it. It's kind of been replaced with prioritization and ranking system. And North Carolina leads the nation. It's one of two states that actually has this ranking and prioritization system in place. It's like the projects that are most needed, they receive a higher score, and those are the projects that get funded as opposed to previously of these divisions that I said we had 14 divisions in the state. They used to give each division a certain dollar amount based on their population. You know,
But my last question of it is, how can we, with your organization, start looking at and start having more conversation about providing some assistance to a Cumberland County to attract new business into it and to increase our road connection so that we can move our goods and services throughout the state.
yeah.
We just need to have more conversation on this so that at least it would be in the discussion mode on a continuing basis.
I agree. I think we definitely need more discussion. I just think the general population and the general public, I wouldn't say or go as far as to say that folks are just not interested or that they don't care, but we need to get
We
from
just don't
this
know.
point of oh, when the project is get breaking ground and all of a sudden either they like it or they don't like it or whatever. The discussions, as it was said at the beginning of this interview, um, the discussions took place years ago. It really did. And I want to close that gap. That's what I want to do. Do a better job of when we are doing our long range transportation planning work. I try and go out into the public and solicit input and comment, but it's very rare and not that many folks make comments. They are not aware of our organization. We have a web page. They have lots of information at their fingertips. Our web page, www.fampo.org is full of all of our long range plans and maps and funding distribution. Of course, NCDOT, when I mentioned that they rank and prioritize every single transportation project in the state. Their webpage, I mean, any citizen could find out what's going on if they wanted to go and find
And
out.
do the
But most
digging. Yes.
folks, yeah, they just
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
that's what we exist for. Our whole purpose is to make understanding politics simpler. Last question: if you could wave a wand to make this process all cleaner and simpler and things flow the way that you in your professional capacity understand that they should, what would be the number one thing that you would want to see happen in this community to move things forward for our good?
Um, I think the coordination amongst staff of these various agencies and entities, we work and coordinate very, very well together. I think I would like more coordination and efforts amongst our local government entities, the city of Fayetteville with Cumberland County, with the other surrounding counties. Everyone, if they get on the same page and they push together with NCDOT, in Raleigh and the federal government with our state legislative bodies, I think we could obtain and I guess not only ask for in a focused manner and receive the necessary funding from Washington
Absolutely.
for our needs.
Get on
That's
one
what I feel.
accord.
But
Get on one accord.
one accord. That's right.
I
That's right.
love that. Mr. Graham, I appreciate you coming. And here's what I'd like to ask you, and I'm going to put you on the spot when I ask you this. Would you be willing to maybe come on and give us quarterly updates from FAMPO so that we can start getting our communities more oriented toward what's in the works so that it's not so last minute and it doesn't just feel for them like it's just popping up out of nowhere? So if you will consider that, Mr. Floyd and I will work with your office to make sure that we get that on the books and we can help to make sure that people are aware of what's happening and how it affects them.
I can commit to that on a quarterly basis.
That's all I'm asking.
All right.
That's
I
all I'm asking.
I I get paid through federal transportation planning grant funds, and so I work for everyone in Cumberland County.
Absolutely. I love that you know that. High five for you
Yes,
understanding that because
yes.
I think if more people who sat in the government spaces, whether it be elected, appointed, or paid spaces, if they understood that we really need these conversations because this is our money. If people really understood that, I think this process would be a lot cleaner. I appreciate you taking your time this morning. Thank you for being so accommodating to our schedule and to our needs. And if there's anything we can ever help push out to the community, Mr. Graham, you just let us know, okay?
All right. Thank you for
Okay,
inviting
sir.
me. All right.
Thank
Our
you.
pleasure. You were an excellent guest, and we look forward to having you back. And we will work to get that scheduled. Mr. Floyd, do you have anything else you want to tell Mr. Graham
No,
before
no,
we,
Mr.
we
Graham,
give him his leave?
just thank you so much. But please, help us get our goods and services to the
All
market.
right.
That's all. That's
I
Thank you so
will.
much.
All
Okay.
right.
Enjoy your
Take
day,
care.
sir.
Thank you.
And happy
Okay, bye bye.
Thanksgiving to you too.
Okay, Mr. Floyd. So here's what I take away from that. I take away that our governing bodies need to get together in a room, have a conversation, get on one accord so that we can move our community forward. I also take from that we need to really help our people understand. And when I say our people, I mean our constituency that pays attention to our podcast. We need to help them understand that what you see breaking ground started 30, 40, 50 years ago. It didn't just start when an elected body started telling you about it.
Well,
So we
Tish,
got to get in
well,
now. Whatever we want to see 30
well,
years from now, we got to get it on the table now.
and what happened some 6 to 8 years ago, the Department of Transportation was sort of like the county of Cumberland, very conservative in their planning. This just a statement now. They will wait till they finish the block, where you stay at,
Hmm.
to Rose Hill Road. Then once that project is completed, then they will move on to another project. But the money is sitting there to do multiple projects. They were
Yeah.
just doing projects and then wait till that project is completed. But that has changed now. They're doing multiple projects and releasing more state and federal dollars to build infrastructure. But the key thing of it is we got to have the legislators pushing our
On one
project.
accord. On one
We got
accord.
to
So let's
have
talk
that.
about this. And let's talk about this. I want to run through it very quickly because we're almost at our time. But when we talk about getting on one accord, and I don't ever want to hear Mayor Mitch Colvin stand up and say again, the county and the city work well together, because that is rhetoric and I don't want to hear it anymore until I
Well,
can see it actually taking place.
well,
Here's
let
why I
me give
say that.
you. Go down.
Here's why I say that. The city and the county, again, 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 have hit this wall in terms of who's going to be in charge of the 911 call center. So apparently, again, they've agreed that there should be a merger into one consolidated service. That's never been the argument. They agreed nicely, I can appreciate this, that they should split the cost 50-50 between the city and the county. And they agreed that the consolidation is expected to save money and improve response times. Here's where they vary. The county says 6 to nothing that there should be a joint governance model. They backed it by the emergency services director Gary Crumpler standing up and giving his position. The city says we need to run it, that the city should have full operational control. The vote was 6-2. There were two people absent. This was backed by Chief Roberto Bryant and Fire Chief Kevin Dove. There was a motion to reconsider, which later failed on a 4-4 split. Political sparks transpired. Councilmember Benavente, who will be leaving office in December, accused the next council of becoming a rubber stamp for the current mayor. Mayor Mitch Colvin instructed staff to mute Benavente's audio after repeated comments. The back and forth overshadowed the governance debate and highlighted ongoing internal tensions. Why does this matter? This matters because this is the fourth attempt since 2007 to unify 911 services. All prior attempts have collapsed over governance and control, and the city center is outgrowing City Hall, which means that the county's opened facility in 2022 could be a real help toward this outpace of growth. This deal must be reached on who manages operations. It must be reached. It has to be reached. So the mayor says he'll meet with Commissioners Kirk Devier in January to negotiate a governance model. The city and county managers have been directed to chart a path forward. The new council, which will be seated in December 1st, can revisit the governance question and potentially shift the direction. So, any thoughts, Mr. Floyd, or did we sum that up pretty well?
That was summed up pretty well. And if the city would take on this project, that means that the city manager would assume a conversation with Spring Lake, Hope Mill, and Cape Fear Valley, and another organization. So therefore, I recommend that if the city take it on, that Doug Hurig's salary be increased to handle the increased duties and responsibility. City of Fayetteville, look at that. The county has already demonstrated that they are capable of doing this because they provide the services today. They're already providing the services today to Spring Lake, the Sure, Cateville Valley, and Eastover. They're already doing that. So again, we have a beautiful government. What difference does it make who was in charge? Okay, you're splitting it 50-50. What we need is a call center. When you call 911, Madam Waddell, you don't know whether it's the city or the county. So why you want to assume additional responsibility? If you assume additional responsibility, you jump more than 50% because you're gonna have to pay the manager and a dip. You're gonna have to pay the manager because he do what state employees say. We assume additional responsibility. So if the city wants to manage that, then they ought to consider increasing the city manager pay to handle this new role and responsibility. So, Madam Waddell, I think it's a good idea to have it. I don't think that the city should assume the responsibility of managing. The county, again, has already demonstrated that they have the capability of doing it. Even if it wasn't, it's still going to be one fiber line connecting the two centers.
So the last topic that we have to discuss that we'll run right through is, are Fayetteville boards eliminating DEI programs to comply with anticipated state law? Here's what's actually happening. So, Mr. Floyd, the short answer is yes. Boards like Fayetteville's PWC Commission, Public Works Commission, are proactively ending DEI related programs in anticipation of a new North Carolina law, House Bill 171, that would ban government funded DEI programs statewide, even though the law has not yet gone into effect. So here's what PwC did. On November 12th, the board voted to unanimously rescind its Minority Women and Disadvantaged Business Enterprise (MWDBE) program. They replaced it with a race and gender neutral, slim, small disadvantaged business enterprise program. PwC describes the change as compliance driven, based on expected state legislation, and states that similar actions are taken by Charlotte, Raleigh, Guilford County, and Durham County. A move, a move to procurement practices race neutral, certification based, and legally safe. PwC framed the shift as aligning with evolving state and federal guidelines. And the reason that they took this step, which goes back to what you mentioned in the beginning, was that this bill already ratified and awaiting implementation says no state agency shall promote, support, fund, implement, or maintain workplace diversity, equity, and inclusion. It passed the House by how many votes, Mr. Floyd?
I think the down party line, I think it's like 60 plus
69 to
40.
45. Mm-hmm. And it
Yeah.
passed the Senate by how many votes?
I think it was down party line again. I think it was 26 to 20.
Right.
Not not
And it was
60.
falsely advertised as 60 to 48. There's not
Yeah.
108 seats in the Senate.
No.
So thank you for that clarification. This was vetoed by Governor Josh Stein, but it is expected to be overridden, and the expected effective date is December 1st. Agencies anticipate that once the law takes effect, they will lose funding. That if they have DEI related initiatives, it could jeopardize their state funding, and that agencies that fail to comply could face penalties, audits, or program invalidation. So, boards like PwC are preemptively adjusting to avoid being caught out of compliance. Um, the bigger
Well, right
picture
now,
of
Tish,
this, go ahead.
and so on that we can meet our time thing. Right
Hmm.
now, they're waiting to override the governor's veto, and
Right,
I
of
do
HB 7
believe,
171.
and I do believe that this one is going to be a hard sell to override. Now, however, it can be overridden if you catch the Democrat uh, that can, that can block this, and some members not present. Yeah, you can override that veto, and again, they can put this on the calendar every time they have the meeting to call for a veto override. So it's just a matter of time. And one thing that we don't understand is that the Democrats do not control the calendar. The Democrat Party do not control the calendar. They can put it on every calendar that they have when they convene. So in that you just simply waiting, and waiting to the number. All right, and then you call the veto up. So, Madam Watt, I just wish you have a very happy Thanksgiving, and I'm gonna pick up my 2.5 pound Cornish hen today. So
And Mr. Floyd, as a reminder to our audience, we will be recording on Wednesday instead of Thursday. So join us at 9:30 on Wednesday. Our special guest will be former Sheriff Wright, who will be talking with us about the upcoming sheriff's race. We are keeping a close eye on filings in December because we do want to see what this race is going to look like. And now that our own Mr. Floyd has announced that his exploratory committee has been looking at D1 for the county commissioners, I'm going to be paying particular attention to that particular race. We've already seen
thank
several
you.
people stand up and announce for at large county commissioners. So we've seen Charles Evans, Veronica Jones. We've heard mention of um,
Fairclough,
Tony Stewart,
Commissioner
and of course,
Fair.
Marshall Faircloth. And District 1, which will also be on the ballot. Again, we've heard rumors of Now Mr. Floyd will include Rumorville. We've heard Rumorville, not Rumorville, but confirmed Sheila Cuffey. We've heard Rumorville of Larry Wright. And we of course anticipate that Glenn Adams
Glenn
will
Adams.
refile for his position. So this will be a race to watch. Let's gear up for another contentious election cycle. Mr. Floyd, my last statement is there's no righteousness, there's no justice apart from righteousness, no righteousness apart from Jesus. So y'all better get to know Jesus if you really want to see real justice in this community and in this nation. Mr. Floyd, what you want to leave the people with as we tell them adieu until next week?
My dog that carried that bone will have a happy Thanksgiving. God bless you, Tish.
Absolutely. We'll see you all next week. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and follow. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll catch you on the next episode.